I am legit in shambles, bro. There's no way. There's no way, bro. I recorded episode 61. I put everything away, cleaned up, had a decent night, you know what I'm saying? Just hung out, watched some TV. And then I get the trade news. And I thought there's no way. There's no way. The Dallas Mavericks are trading Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. This isn't real. Like, I don't think I've felt a pain like this before. And, for those that are tuning into the episode, I'll probably tag this on to the top of episode 61, but this is about to be probably like a 10 to 15 minute sports rant. So if you want to move on, keep going until I'm wearing like a black hoodie, I think. For my boys that are here, and for anyone else caring about my well-being right now, I am distraught. Like, you know how you see on movies and TV shows when someone goes through a breakup and they just really can't bounce back and they're just kind of just really, really, really deep down in that hole. And then there's no light. And it's like, where do I go from here? Am I being dramatic? I don't think so. I really don't think so. And I'll explain kind of like the relationship that it is so people can kind of understand where this pain comes from. I know a lot of people see me reacting like this to sports or other guys. Let's say, a dude in Dallas or whatever it is. And you're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a sports team. It's just basketball. Why do men get so involved in sports? You don't get it. You don't get it. This is like a relationship, bro. I don't think I've ever felt this way about a breakup. Brother, think about how much stuff you got to do in life. This is a one-way relationship. All this stuff you go through in the daily, right? You go to work, get told what to do, this and that. You got to drive home. Maybe you got to purchase car insurance. Maybe you got to fill up gas. Maybe you ran into some traffic. Now you're burning time. Oh, shit. Now you had a stressful day. You got to make food. You got to clean. You got to do some laundry. And then at the end of the day, you get to escape all the nonsense, whether it was the nonsense of people telling you got to go vote. Oh my gosh, this is what's happening overseas. All of the nonsense, all of the social pressure, wherever stress comes from, you get to escape and go into sports. And for me, it's sports. Other people may have different things, right? Maybe people have a different indulgence of music. But you get to go to sports. And you get to say, you know what? I get to watch the team that I have chosen. The team that I have chosen, I get to watch them. And if they win, I feel a little elated. And then when it gets to playoffs and stuff like that, the further they go, the more entertaining they are, the more you're kind of indulging, the more happy you are. People don't understand the impact of a sports team. I told y'all about how freaking nice Kansas City was. And you know why? It's because of the Chiefs. No, there's no way it's because of their government. No, bro. It's actually that simple. Why Dallas has probably done so well for so many years? Probably because of the Cowboys. They're not good by any means. But they have that type of draw where people will continue to come see this one particular person, this particular franchise. Luka was that guy for us. Where basketball will always be good enough. Maybe we don't win a championship. But how can we ever find out if we just sever the relationship? When Dirk went to the finals in 2006 and it didn't work out, and the Steve Nash era was done, and the Jason Terry / Devin Harris, that squad of 2006 was done, you don't trade Dirk. You understand that the city has built a relationship with this person. This city looks at this sports team and expects to see this one particular person, and every night that they come to a game, they can count on seeing this person. And that's a relationship that is very hard to build. Very hard to build, especially when you are in the midst of the relationship to sever it. It does not make any sense. Basketball was always going to be a certain level of good as long as Luka was on the Mavs. You could be playing the Denver Nuggets, Boston Celtics, whoever it is, whoever the top contending team was for the year. As long as you had Luka on your team, you're probably at least contending. You think, okay, at least we have a chance at beating this team. When I go to a Mavericks game, we might be playing the Wizards, or who's another shitty team? The Bulls. But at least I'll get to see Luka do his thing tonight. That's how good basketball was. Sorry, that's how good Luka was. A legendary tier status player. Now, I wrote down some bullet points, so I'm already going off track because it's just already happening. But I wrote down some bullet points to at least kind of stay somewhat in a coherent path. So we start with the details, right? Essentially, it's Luka for AD. Don't worry about the other pieces. It doesn't really matter. Luka for AD. Who wins the trade? Who wins the trade? Now, look at me real good. Or listen to me real good. If you think the Mavericks won this trade, you are out of your goddamn mind. You are out of your mind. In no scenario, even out of the best case scenario, the Mavericks go on to win a championship this year. Would it be nice? Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to lie. It would be really cool. If the Mavericks somehow made this trade work and flipped another piece or two, and they go on to win a championship, it would be nice. But then what? You kiss your future goodbye. Not even kiss. You already kissed your future goodbye. You buy one ring versus Luka was Luka had the caliber to be a player that possibly went to multiple finals, maybe won multiple rings, maybe a couple of MVPs along the way. He's 25 years old. 25. Bro, I am 30. I've never been to an NBA Finals. I never led my team to the Western Conference Finals and lost to the people that went on to be the champions. 25 years old. This guy is in his prime. It's as if Boston were to trade Tatum. The Nuggets were to trade Jokic. The Warriors were to trade Steph. You have this person that you have to understand that there was a relationship built. Who wins the trade? It's 100% the Lakers. Oh my goodness. I tip my hat off to the Lakers organization. Because what a fucking move, man. You go from before I was even watching basketball, probably even alive. Magic, Kareem. You win a handful of rings. And then, you get the Kobe years, the early Kobe years. Okay, things aren't working out, but we got a little crazy guy on the team. This might work. Okay, now we add Shaq. You three-peat. You win 3 championships. Okay, Shaq goes away. Hey, let's pick up this guy named Pau Gasol. Boom, you win another 2 rings. Or was it 1 ring? Whatever, you keep winning. Kobe goes away, you go through some awkward years, and then you get the face of the NBA, LeBron James. You get another ring out of that. And then this guy turns 40 years old, and you think, you know what? This guy can't drive the car anymore. He's still amazing. And this is the wild part, is that I was watching the Lakers hours before this happened. AD wasn't playing, and LeBron had a 30-point triple-double and beat a fully healthy Knicks team. A team that people will probably call a contender. Beat them by himself. That's how good this 40-year-old still is. But it doesn't matter. Because in a couple years, he might leave. He, just decides to retire because maybe he wants to move on to different things in his life. He's given enough to the game of basketball. So how can we set up our future? A generational superstar. Someone to carry the franchise. and you get Luka Doncic. This is sorry if you can hear the coffee machine in the back, but this is nuts to me, bro. Like when the group chat started blowing up about this, all I could continuously say were there's no way. There's no chance this is happening. If you are a Dallas front office person, why would you ever do this? You can't trade away your franchise. Your franchise. That's how good this person is. And like I said, I tip my hat off to the Lakers organization. What a job well done, man. You gave up a 7-foot, and don't get me wrong, AD's a great player. AD's great. But he wasn't carrying those Pelicans teams to the finals by himself. That is the difference between him and Luka. Oh, well, Luka wasn't doing it by himself. He had Kyrie. Let's stop acting like Kyrie's that dude. The Dallas Mavericks are now the little brother team. Oh, you have 3 people that have rings. Little brothers. Kyrie, little bro to LeBron. AD, little bro to LeBron. Clay, little bro to Steph. None of these guys were the person that led the team to a championship. People kind of made the comparison of like when Toronto got Kawhi. They traded a superstar that the entire city had built a relationship with. And then he gets traded away for this other star. And then they win a championship. Is it worth the trade? And that's very different. Because DeMar DeRozan is on no way even sniffing the platform Luka is on. It's a massive difference. I get it. They had a relationship with the guy, but it ain't the same. Luka was 18 years old when he got to this team. 19. And we've witnessed greatness year after year. As a Mavs fan, you are blessed. You were blessed. You get Dirk Nowitzki. You get to witness one of the greatest power forwards ever. One of the most unstoppable bigs ever. Play amazing basketball. I wasn't around, or I wasn't really watching basketball during the Steve Nash year, so I have no idea how that impact felt when he leaves. 2006, you lose the finals. You go through a couple awkward years. Next thing you know, 2011 rolls around, and it's like, hey, something's happening. Something's happening. Like, this team is doing really good. And even though this guy Dirk is not in his prime, there's a certain level of dog in him right now. You go on to win a championship. As a sports fan, y'all, I hope you can understand how great of a feeling that is. Even last year, when the Mavs made it to the finals, the type of elation I felt was next level. It's a one-way relationship that can either make you feel on top of the world or it can cut you down for maybe a couple hours. And that trade-off is worth it. I kind of understand now the way people are kind of like a crazy sports fan for some teams. Obviously, we think about when LeBron left Cleveland for the first time. And the way people had this anger towards him. People were burning his jersey, tearing down signs, storming the city. And I get it. Now I fully do understand. The difference here is that there always has to be a face to the evil. And when a player leaves your team in free agency, though you might feel a type of way, at least you can look at that person and say, this is the person that did that to me. Okay, LeBron left on his own accord. You know what? I'm going to hate him. He is the villain. When a trade like this happens and these players are just treated as parts in a machine, it's tough. Who do you hate? Who do you point to and say is the villain? Do you point to Nico Harrison? Probably. But I have no idea what that guy even looks like. I want to make sure I'm kind of sticking on the track here. But as far as who wins the trade, do the Mavs have a chance at contending this year? In my opinion, I still don't think so. Unless they go on and make one more trade, I still don't think so. I think you are lacking a type of firepower that you need, where you have one player on the team that can absolutely go berserk. And you look at a team like Boston that doesn't really have that one player, right? They have a lot of superstars, or maybe not a lot, but they have two good players and then a lot of great role players. And that's one example. But that team also does really good because they shoot a ton of threes. This Mavericks team is not the same. And you would think that coming off of a year where you trade for Clay, you made some other decent trades the year before, you make a finals run. You make a finals run. You went to the finals. And you trade away your future. You trade away your fan base. You trade all this away. And I cannot wrap my head around this. Small pieces keep rolling out on the news, and it's like this still doesn't help me understand. Luka had to have been tickling someone in the front office. He had to have murdered someone for me to understand why you would ever do this. Oh, the Mavericks won the trade, bro. You guys, you have Kyrie. Neither of those dudes are that guy right now. Once upon a time, maybe. I think Kyrie is an amazing basketball player. I think he may be a top 5 point guard ever. But currently, can he do that thing? I don't think so. AD, same thing. I think he is a top 5 power forward maybe ever. Do I think he can do that thing right now? Nope. This man was 25 years old, bro. I am distraught. I am distraught. Like I said, the whole LeBron leaving the Cavs thing was the closest thing I can think of, where you have a player that will probably take your team to a couple championships, and then just like that, someone thinks they're a master chess player, and they make this trade because they think that's what's best for the team. And people blaming Mark Cuban. And I don't think so. And if you know this, Mark Cuban doesn't even have controlling rights anymore. I think he sold a majority of the stake and he's still a part owner, but he doesn't have he doesn't have a say in trades that happen. He might suggest things. Sure, he has a voice. But when a trade is happening, he doesn't have to be consulted about it. I don't think Mark Cuban had anything to do with this. He is the person that would understand, as a lifelong Dallas Mavericks fan. Maybe not lifelong. The dude's from Indiana. But however long he's been a Dallas Mavericks fan. He understands you don't touch Dirk. You don't touch Luka. There's certain pieces that are quite literally, as we like to call, untouchable. A person from the untouchables list gets traded. And if you think about it, it's like, okay, this guy Nico comes in, no real relationship with Luka Doncic. He has a relationship with people in the Lakers front office. He has a relationship with Kyrie. And so if you're in charge of this Dallas team and you think, hey, you know what? Obviously, overall, the objective is to win the championship. This is the trade I'm going to make. But in reality, you're alienating your entire fan base. And I still don't think that makes any sense. Dallas has never had this many black players in their starting lineup. Can we go ahead and acknowledge that? I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But if you're a Mavericks fan, you always expect a nice little sprinkle of European players throughout your lineup. Obviously, I'm joking. Relax. Don't clip that and get me out of here. But if Luka told me to storm the Capitol right now, I'd think about it. I'd think about it. I can't even imagine what the next Mavericks home game would look like. Do people start just throwing shit on the court? There's no way there's a Dallas fan out there that is happy about this trade. There's no way. People have been blowing my phone up. I heard about the news last night, And I just went to sleep because I was like, I can't do this right now. I can't do this right now. It's too late for this. I can't give this any much thought. And then I woke up to the same issue, but then tenfold because everyone else had heard about it. They were texting me. I'm hearing more and more just like, oh, well, Luka was out of shape. You know, we don't know his relationship with the front office. It doesn't matter, bro. That man, oh, he was 270 pounds. He would always be drinking. He's not practicing. The man gets buckets. The man gets buckets. I don't care how big you are. If at the end of the day you get buckets, I want you on my team. The man gets buckets, bro. He is the reason Dallas is relevant. And you trade him away for 80 and a first round pick. If you're supposed to trade Kyrie. You're supposed to trade Kyrie. Have the whole storyline of, oh wow, LeBron and Kyrie are reunited. We have a big at the 4. Now our centers, who are not bad, can play their 5 spot. We got Clay at the 3. I don't know who the hell is our 2 guard. Oh, put Clay at the 2, PJ Washington at the 3, 80 at the 4, Daniel Gafford at the 5, or Derek Lively, a great 5. That's a winning lineup. That's a winning lineup. You have the height to guard Kristaps Porzingis. You have Luka Doncic, who no one can guard. And you traded for Kyrie to lead your team? I love Kyrie, but bro, let's stop playing around. That man has always been, at no point on this team was he first fiddle. And that blows my mind, bro. Like, also to think about is that this pain that I'm feeling, this emotional connection to this, is the same way certain people feel about like political things or just other things in the world. And it does kind of open my eyes where I'm just like, oh shit, you know what? I really don't understand anybody anymore. Like, this is a certain type of pain, bro. Why would Dallas do this? Why would Dallas do this? It had to have been some type of relationship thing, something that it's painful, bro. I'm going to leave it at that. Check in on me if you get a chance. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy the rest of episode 61. I don't know how I'm going to be, but nonetheless, at least I'm in LA. At least I'm in LA. This was so big that I'm at the point where I was ready to leave LA and get the hell out of here. Shit, I might just stay. Friday night rolls around. I take Isha to the airport. I go to the mall, do a little bit of Miami shopping, walked around a bit. Didn't get a pretzel because honestly, you know, like, I don't know what it is, whether it's age or just diet. I don't know. But my body can't really handle a pretzel anymore. I left, came home, watched a little bit of basketball. The 76ers put on a great show. I forgot who they lost to. They put on a great show. I warmed up some lasagna, had a little garlic bread, had a little something on the side. Eventually, started watching some Netflix, sat around on the couch a little bit, took a wedding call or two, talked to the family, talked to some friends. At some point, I started watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Not even gonna lie to you. I put on Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Not normally my cup of tea, but I thought, why not? I'm having a good time. And then I went to sleep. And just like that, I was like, damn, I'm having a pretty good night. And sometimes I think it's really that simple. It's really that simple. People be stressing out, oh, we got to go out. You got to do this on a Friday now. Oh, you got to do this. You got to do this. It's like, no, you don't. No, you really don't. Sometimes when you're feeling overstimulated by all the shit you got going on in the week and, oh, you know, I gotta get these dashboards out. Oh my gosh, these tickets. Oh, I have a scrum meeting and you know what I'm saying? Friday night comes around, people be like, why don't you go out? Why don't you want to do this? Because I just don't want to, bro. And sometimes the simple life, just being at home, is nice. It's nice. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ajay Patel Show. I missed you guys. I haven't recorded in a while because I had those 2 episodes saved up. So firstly, let's start with a special thank you to Hanali and Adit. It's always fun having those conversations, right? Having a guest kind of just takes away like half the work of a podcast. It adds a little bit because of the editing, but it's so much easier. And I feel, me personally, I think the content is just better because you get someone else's perspective versus me talking at you most of the time. But then again, you know, a podcast is me talking at you most of the time. Either way, I appreciate them. Hopefully have them again sometime soon, but we'll see. We'll see. And boy, it took me everything. It took me all the powers in the world not to record right after Trump's inauguration. Now, we're not going to talk about him this time because I don't want to, start with everyone closing out the podcast that fast. So don't worry. We're not talking about him. But it took me a special type of power and resilience to sit back and be like, you know what? Just shut your mouth. You don't need to talk to people about this. You don't need to talk to you don't need to put the material on a podcast either. Just sit back, publish an episode. Just leave it alone. But we're finally back this week, and so we have a couple of recaps to do. Firstly, the last time I talked to you guys, Los Angeles was on fire. Not a great thing. So from that point on, a couple more fires started around town, and evacuations were happening. A couple of mishap, Amber Alerts or whatever was going out to people's phones, and people complaining left and right about the government, this and all in all, my summary of the fires is one: thank God, that shit is at least from our perspective under control, right? I have no idea if it's still raging or whatnot, but from my point of view, the air quality's fine. I can't visibly see the fire. I'm not, obviously I have no idea. I was not impacted, so I don't really feel the aftermath of the fire. But it was a big deal. It's a big deal. And it's just like, you never know when one of these natural disasters kind of land on your front porch. And it was really cool seeing like all these LA people kind of come together, and me being in the city for a short period of time, I didn't realize I had this type of, tie to it, because I was like, boy, I'm ready to get out of here. But a special type of feeling of being like, oh, also, wow, it has been a while since I haven't talked to you guys. I completely used cathartic wrong. My bad. I didn't do well on the SAT. That was the one thing that if you looked at my grade school career, the worst thing about me was my SAT score. I was a smart student. Like, if your child ended up like me in high school, you would be so proud of them. Even I look back on my high school resume and I'm like, damn, I did pretty good. Did it translate over to college? Nope. Not at all. I was probably a DEI hire. Huh? Too soon? No? So in high school, the SAT was just one of those things that I never practiced how to take the test, right? The SAT is not as much about knowledge and preparation or like the depth of skill that you have in a particular subject matter. It's more of, how to take a certain cadence test, to spend a certain number of minutes here, whatever the essay part of it was. And then I never took the ACT. This is just something when you grow up in the Irving School District, they don't really push on you. They push for the SAT. They push for the AP classes. And going back, it's like, bro, I should have taken the ACT. I probably should have tried at least a little bit hard. Bro, let's just put it out there. What did you score on your SAT? What did you score? I scored like a 1600. Now, I don't know if that's good, bad, to each their own if you're listening. But a 1600 And then you get to somewhere like the University of Texas, and people talking about, yeah, I took I got a 2300, but my parents wanted me to take it again. I said, bro, isn't the max score 2400? They said, yeah, but like I could have done a little better. You know how embarrassing it is for me to then say, I got a 1600. I got a 1600, and I sent that in my applications to colleges. I still got in, right? Because I was a top 8% or whatever the rules were back then. It's changed ever since. But it was pretty embarrassing. So all that to say, my grammar isn't top tier. I'm a storyteller at the end of the day, but I don't know the words to put in my story. So sometimes when I have a thought, I just come up with something. Sorry for being creative. That's my bad. So going back to the fires. A devastating scene for sure. And it's actually been very wild to see the people like in our building where obviously you don't know that they were affected by the fires unless you have a conversation with them. But there's been an influx of new signees, people touring, people signing. And then it's just a couple of people from the front desk, because I'm always best friends with them with all these wedding packages coming in. They're like, yeah, people have literally come here. They've done a couple nights at a hotel and they just want to sign a place that's nice, has good security. And it's like, damn, bro, these are like movie directors, These are people that are on set that they could change your life if you're trying to make it in the entertainment industry. Now, I understand people talking about, oh, well, you should network with them. You should try to get to know them, this and that. And I agree. I just don't have the headspace or the discipline, confidence. You come up with a word. Like I told you, I'm a 1600. I don't know the word for it right now. But I just don't really have that kind of inclination. And then I was thinking, we are about to see probably the greatest influx. How do I put this? Think about all the like extras in the world. If you're a movie director, right, and you want your house built a little bit faster, obviously things aren't going great for the labor market. I think prices have gone up, availability has gone down. So if you need people, what better resource than to get the people that were making $20 an hour on set to just stand in the background to get them to build your house? I feel like in the next couple years, for example, if someone came up to me and they were like, hey, if you build my whole house for free, I'll put you in the next Bourne movie. I'll be like, Bourne? They'd be like, don't worry about it. I'll put you in the next Marvel movie. Would you do it? I'd do it in a heartbeat. This influx is going to be a little strange. And I do feel this type of going back to like how it's just like this almost LA strong. You're going to see that hashtag and that written everywhere, LA strong. I just saw that person has a window open. We have new neighbors, so interesting noise, see new cadences. Anyways, LA strong. There was a firefighter downstairs while I was, normally I walk over to, I probably shouldn't give too much details on where I live. I walk over to the grocery store and there was a fire truck outside because someone had gotten locked in the elevator in the apartment complex across the street. And there was a firefighter standing in the courtyard. And I was like, you know what? Should I buy this guy something? Should I get him like a gift card? Should I get him like I wish I could have gotten him dinner. How do you just do that? I don't want to give this guy a grocery store gift card. That's a little strange. And I don't want to give him cash because I'm not like tipping him. So you know what? I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a man. I'm going to be a true Samaritan. I'm going to be a proper gentleman, a proper decent human being. And I went up to him and I said, hey, thank you for everything you guys have been doing. I shook his hand and he said, oh, really appreciate it. And I went about my day. And just like that, I thought, it's very likely that he wasn't even part of the LA firefight. Now, that's not a diss, right? But when the water runs out, there's not much you can do other than, like make sure people are evacuating a certain area and whatnot. And I was like, damn, the likelihood that he actually wasn't in like the front lines is pretty high, right? I maybe I should have interviewed him first. But then I thought, the point that this dude is still willing to, right? He still has the uniform on. He's still willing to jump into that fire in case it does happen, or in case he's called upon to do so. Obviously, it does happen, as we saw. That's the noble part. So, once again, if you guys have not at least checked it out, if you want to make any type of donations and whatnot, I put it in my show notes previously. By now, if you Google it, I think they've kind of cut back on all the spam and all the kind of, the people that try to get a little money during this time of day. So if you want to, go ahead and check that out. And from one disaster to the next, these planes, bro. These planes. I'm not going to be too jokey about it because it's literally happened in the last 24 hours and it involves like 40 people dying in total. But I'm someone that already has a massive amount of anxiety when I'm on a plane, especially a Southwest plane. I don't know what it is. I trust Spirit planes more than Southwest planes. But there's nothing like when that mug be shaking in the sky, I used to get so nervous, right? I told you, I literally buy the internet, start making my final wishes to everyone. And then I got to a point sometime last year where I was like, damn, my anxiety is a little out of control. And if I'm looking, I'm someone that's quite logical. So if I'm looking at the crash rate, right, the likelihood that this plane ends up in an incident, it's dramatically lower than if you were to get in a car. And I don't have those thoughts when I get in a car. But at the same time, if you get in a fender bender, or if you get into a bad accident at worst on the road, there's a likelihood you survive. Now, if you in the sky, my boy, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing that can be done. And that is the scary part, where it's like, you know what? I think I prefer being on the ground. So if you guys have not kept up with it, two things happened. And let's go in a little chronological order, keep some order here. Firstly, you had a plane that takes off from Washington, D.C. airport. And this is a small little passenger plane, American Airlines. I don't remember the exact plane that it was, but probably carrying about 20 passengers. This plane crashes into a military helicopter. And I think it happened above a lake. Complete fatality. No survivors. They're still recovering. I think they are still recovering bodies from the lake. And they always get I forget the system that is called, the box or whatever. Because the NTSB, which I think is the acronym, they always do an investigation after anything happens. Honestly, the NTSB should be given more praise for how they conduct business. I think. I haven't kept up with it too much, so don't get mad at me. Don't dislike the video because of that. But now people, see, this is what does drive me crazy. Is people have been blaming this on some type of they're trying to tie it back to government. They're trying to tie it back to government, and they're trying to tie it back to Trump. And I watched a handful of videos on this stuff. And applause to the news outlets that always find these kind of resourceful people or people that have more knowledge on the matter. So then they're not just speculating, right? They're not always just speculating. Oh, well, we think that this happened. They brought in a Black Hawk pilot, a previous Black Hawk pilot, and she kind of explained, okay, you know what? We've had near misses before. And this is the issue with this situation and what could have happened. And from my understanding or from my learnings, what it seems like happened, two things. Is one, flying at an incorrect altitude, the helicopter itself. And two, a bad timing of miscommunication. So on the, and this is always tragic to hear because you hear the communications from both sides and then next thing you know, it's an explosion. You have someone just saying like, hey, there is a plane in view. Do you have that plane in view? And they see a plane and they confirm. The pilot confirms of the helicopter. Meanwhile, there is another plane. So the precision, the lack of precision is something so minor, but so delicate, right? Like when you're in that control tower, small mistakes. You can make a small mistake at your job and nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Literally nothing will happen. Whether you're at a retail store, that shit's still going to sell. Whether you're at a tech company, that shit's still going to do its thing. But when you're dealing with fucking planes in the sky, my boy, what do you do? And it sucks, man, where it's like people see that and the NTSB itself, right? Like I do have faith that they will do the investigation. They'll figure out what happened and then maybe make changes accordingly. Because it's always scary when, and this is what sucks, is that it always takes an occurrence to make a change. It's never like, hey, you know, we had a couple of near misses. Should we change it? And it's like, no, it's fine. Apparently it's working. Near misses will never change the policy. But when you have something like this, which results in fatalities, that's where change comes from. And that's what sucks. It's a very unfortunate thing that they wait for it to happen. First of all, why the fuck are military helicopters flying in the same airspace as commercial airlines? And there's a question around like, should it be, you know, was it on the airplane pilot or the helicopter pilot? Brother, you can't maneuver an airplane like that. I don't care how much you played GTA. And it's a tragedy, bro. And then within, what was it, like 16 hours ago, a plane crashed into a residential area in Philadelphia. Another small passenger plane. Now, this had the fatalities of the people on the plane and the people on the ground for like a certain block radius. Now, that is still being investigated, so I won't, you know, give too much light on that because it's literally live right now where they're still trying to figure out what happened. And it's some crazy stuff, man. And so why do I bring this up? It's just, one, it's a big deal, right? Like planes crashing is something that's not an everyday thing. Car crash, yeah, sure. That's like a thing that happens by the minute. Who cares? That doesn't get any attention. A plane incident that involves fatalities, that is not something minor. And the fact that people are taking this and turning it into this whole government thing, oh, well, it's because of this. And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I know y'all think I'm Team Trump and all that stuff. That fool be doing some dumb shit too. Talking about, oh, well, we should blame it on DEI. We should blame it on this. And I'm just like, bro, what? Like, can everyone shut up? You know, like, as much as I don't like news outlets because, you know, it's like, were they paid off, this and that. You should at least still let them do their thing. The internet's a tricky place. And the internet has just turned into this fear-mongering, anger-mongering thing. Mongering, is that the right word? I don't know. Like I said, I'm a 1600. Where they just try to get as much fear and as much anger out of you as possible on a daily basis. On a daily basis. And that's where we're going to kind of steer the rest of this podcast to. And like I said, don't worry. We're not going to be all up on Trump. Don't worry. But this fear thing, it's been driving me crazy. It's been driving me crazy. And there's times that I come home and I start ranting to Isha, and Isha's like, bro, leave me alone. And I'm just like, oh, fuck, you know? I don't want to go to the podcast with this because I'm supposed to be entertaining. I still want to have this real world conversation with people that'll at least hear me. But at this point, everyone, it feels like every room you walk into, you can't express that opinion. If you have anything that goes against the popular opinion, people kill you for it, bro. If you got on the internet today and read about America, whether it was what was happening in the streets, whether it was what was happening in office, this, that, you would think we're in some third world country. You would think we're in Afghanistan. You would truly think that, where it's like, oh my gosh, people are getting their heads chopped off for their opinion. Bro, it's not that bad out here. I'm going to double down on that. It is not that bad out here. I understand there's a lot of bad things. There's a lot of bad things, whether it's violence, gun violence, this and that, people not being able to get abortion. There's a lot of bad things. But the reason I always harp on I say, America's the greatest country in the world, is because where else would you want to be? People talking about going to Paris, going to European country. They have their problems too. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not as exemplified as the problems here, but America does that. And in addition to that, see, now I'm on a rant, so let me just keep it going. Here's my thing. I just think America is too damn big to be governed by one body. The system hasn't evolved, right? The technology has evolved. The infrastructure has evolved. I think all these aspects has evolved. And you keep this same rotting core. It's so crazy, right? Like, imagine you buy a new car. You replace the doors. You replace the tires. You get a little new dash. Ooh, a little new seat material. Damn, you got CarPlay in this thing? Ooh, you getting an oil change? New headlights? A little spoiler on the back? Damn, you got a rear view camera? Meanwhile, your engine is 100 years old and you don't replace that mug. What do you expect to happen? Here's my look. Eventually I'll run for office. I'll fix all this, so don't worry about that. But America needs to be split up into certain areas at this point. Before the people do it themselves and this mug turns into a civil war, because that's where it feels like the media and the internet in general is trying to push us towards, where everyone needs to be angry at each other. You guys need to hate these people and these people need to hate those people. Now go fight and go talk about how much you hate people with money. Go, 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 go. Here's some tools to fight as well. It's the greatest social experiment that's happening right now. And that's why I've caught myself where I've gotten so invested in this shit. I'm just like, bro, I need to pull my head out of all this crap. I can't hyper focus on this so much that I'm not conducting my day-to-day properly. I'm not working out. I'm not eating. I'm not like not eating because of this, but it's just like, what are you focusing on? What are you getting done in your day? You're getting so caught up in this hoopla of things that are quite literally not affecting your day to day. I'm not saying you shouldn't take an interest and shouldn't be, knowledgeable on the matter. But there's a certain amount. And people think they're the ones in office. They're the ones making policies. I don't, just take a step back and try to focus on yours. Put a smile on your face. Try to put a smile on someone else's face. And I promise you things will be all right. But going back to this whole thing of like, we have a bad engine right now. The engine is just bad right now. And I do think, yes, keep a singular thing, like keep the whole president, keep the three branches. But then there needs to be a president, let's say, for the western states, the Northeast, maybe Midwestern, the South. Maybe if we buy Greenland and Canada, we'll have someone for those areas too. And I know it sounds like I'm joking, but bro, like the way we talk about European nations, look at the size of them, bro. Look at the size of Texas or the size of California, and you'll cover half of Europe. And people like to brag about how the European countries are ran. Oh, they have free health. They have this. They have that. Yo, I get it. But you can manage 5 people pretty good. I guarantee you that impact will drop. Your score will drop when you multiply it by 20 and you stay as the only person in charge. Companies have figured this out. Places like Amazon, I know people like to think, oh, Amazon's so evil. Stop it, bro. Stop it. You love that shit and you cut it out. Amazon, and this is from talking to a friend that is now working there, they have people that are set up just to connect other people. That mug is a machine. That is the example of the new engine that America needs, but not in a tech company, in the government body. And this period right now we're going through is just feels like the awkward teenager years where you don't really want to talk to people. You're kind of embarrassed about what you look like. You started dabbling with Proactive a bit. See, I told y'all. I had some energy pent up. All that to kind of wrap it up to say, like, shit's a little crazy right now, and I'm trying to keep my head out of the water a bit and still focus on things that it's like, how can I set my life up for the next 5 years during this next 4 months or 6 months, whatever it is, right? How do I make sure I'm good? The people I love, I'm good. The people I love are good. And I set up a life that I want to carry on into my 40s. Being 30s was, boy, let me tell you, I was not looking forward to it. But the delusion is still there. And at the same time, I acknowledge, you know what? I did squander a handful of years. So how can I be better at that now? Anyways, what else have we been missing out on? DeepSeek. For my AI nerds, I haven't learned too much about this, but what I've been witnessing is that as much as I think there's a front runner in the kind of like the AI race, there really isn't. Like, just like that, from a week to week perspective, there's a new person in the lead. And so it feels more important now than ever. And this is something I have on my kind of like my 2025 roadmap per se, where it's like, you need to start diving into this shit. Like, I've been a data analyst for the past, goddamn, 7 years. That's fucking depressing. Anyways, the past 7 years. And I've done all the machine learning type shit, visualizations, A/B testing. And let me tell you, that shit is about to be something of the past. And maybe not the past, right? But it becomes a part of a bigger machine. Damn, we really keep saying machine. But it's becoming a part of this new way of doing things. The same way machine learning kind of was able to expedite a lot of things. This AI uses machine learning for something even greater. So how can you get on board during this wave of AI tool after AI tool, machine after machine? And the race is still close. I understand it seems far, and if you're not completely engulfed in AI right now, you may feel like I'm a little behind. I don't know if it's worth starting. But if you're in tech, no matter what role, honestly, whether you're a software engineer, a data analyst, a project manager, you need to at least be spending some time on this AI shit. DeepSeek, I haven't even seen it. And that shit made, NVIDIA's stock drop. Now, the other thing I've been witnessing is there's a certain love for China that's coming back. And I don't know if it's coming back, but there's a certain love for China that I've never seen before. And I love it. And maybe this is like an apology for all the, comments in 2020 from the ignorant folks. But as soon as TikTok went away, oh my gosh. And we didn't even talk about this. TikTok went away. I deleted the app. Like I told y'all, I was looking forward to it. I said, you know what? I'm going to turn my life around. I deleted the app. That shit came back 12 hours later. And I said, you know what? I miss it. I went to go download the app. Can't even do that shit. I'm TikTokless. I feel naked out here. I was scrolling through Instagram Reels a second ago, and I was like, this shit sucks. This shit's horrible. Where is a person that knows me on a deeper level? They know exactly what I want to watch. They know when to feed me some Yu-Gi-Oh clips. They know when to feed me some Blacklist clips, some NBA clips, some bullshit. They know when to feed me what. There was a lot of feelings towards TikTok going away, where it's like, for the longest time, people were like, oh, China's stealing our data, China's stealing our identity, this and that, all for what? So we can make some dancing videos. But no one really left the app. I know a handful of people that never really got on TikTok, and they would just consume it maybe like a couple days later through Instagram Reels. And applause to them, because it's like, that shit was an addiction, bro. Like, how? How was that app so good? That shit would have you on there for 2 hours straight. At least an hour straight, where you'd be like, holy shit, did I eat today? It was legit a drug. I don't know how they did it. Applause to that dude. And I can completely understand why you would not want to sell it to America. Even with this extension, I'm like, what's actually going to happen? Do you risk kind of like letting go of your biggest consumer base, because you want to own 100%? Do you let go of 49%? Do you let go of 50%? What do you do? Do you get in bed with the president? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people get mad at that. But at the end of the day, people like to have a little flair of emotion, but you won't really stick to it. And the whole TikTok thing, like, what it made me think of first when it went away, where I was like, damn, I'm in a city that a lot of people here made a fucking livelihood off of it. Where if you were a small, like, let's say you're an immigrant from another country, you come in and you start a falafel shop. You start selling some tacos. Maybe you have a little ramen joint, and you're not getting a lot of traffic, but you have a good product. One TikTok could change your business / your life. TikTok was that good. I did not Google anymore. If I was like, hey, you know what? I need to find a banana bread recipe. I need to find a lasagna recipe. I'll go to TikTok. It was just that good. And then, obviously your feed would be mimicking things you searched for a couple of days, but then it would go back. It sees how much time you spent on some videos, what you enjoyed, what you engaged with, and it catered to you properly. And then it goes away. People throw a fit. People talk about going to Red Note. Obviously, the biggest winner of all of this is Instagram / Meta, where all that time is then spent on different apps, right? People think like, oh, you know what? TikTok goes away, I'm going to spend less time on my phone. Not true. Not true. Addicts will always be addicts. For example, myself. You know how much time I've been spending on Facebook? And don't worry, we're about to get there. Facebook and Instagram. At one point, I was just like, am I really on Facebook? Like, I have a lot of high school friends that are still on Facebook, and I never really found them on Instagram, as the college years came on. But I was like, wow. It's like a whole pool of people that I haven't connected with or haven't even seen like a slight glimpse into their life for the past 10 years. And then it comes back, and I can't download the app, like I said. All of that to say, this sentiment towards China, where people were literally damn near bending over, talking about, where is the Chinese government? I need them to bring me back some TikTok. I'll give them whatever data they want. I'll give them whatever they want, as long as I can have my addiction. And then, like the other thing I was thinking about was just like that app has just become that app. No one has beaten TikTok yet. Snapchat came along, really did a number. Like, holy shit, I did not think Snapchat was ever going to be that big. Blew up, right? Everyone was snapping. You put shit on your stories. You be sending people nudes. You used to be able to see who was sending who nudes. That was the wild part. You start getting a little streak. Oh my gosh, I have to snap this person because we're on like a 30-day streak. Add stuff to your story. The DJ Khaled years. Snapchat was a good time. It was a good ass time. Eventually, Instagram starts biting off of it. Starts becoming a lot better about how they were kind of helping people get addicted to the app. I think somewhere in that, Facebook buys Instagram. TikTok comes along. Obviously, before that, it was like Musical.ly or whatever it was. And it does its thing. COVID comes. Everyone finds out that TikTok is the clear winner. Carried on for a couple more years. And since then, no one has taken the throne. People try to be real for a little bit. Oh, hey, it's my timer. I need to take a picture. It takes the front and the back lens at the same time. It's completely cool, bro. That shit went away. I don't know what other app. There was another app where like you have to share it with like 10 other people. I forget, it was like a photo app or something. And as neat as these apps are, and people, I would say my generation more so kind of leaned towards at first, because it's like, oh, you know what? I'm spending less time on this and I'm still getting this aspect of sharing. We still resort to that addiction. You know what I'm saying? Like TikTok is still the king. And Instagram's cool, but every time I'm on Instagram, I'm just like, I'm only here to either find a business, find someone's page, find this, find that, add something to my story. I'm trying to share a podcast link. It takes a physical, like it's a hump to actually post pictures. People haven't posted in years. And then you know what they post? Their wedding pictures again. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like people used to just post pictures. That doesn't happen anymore. All of this going back to this positive sentiment towards China. Never seen it before. But I think that's just what's happened, where this, like, everyone's so angry at the person in office and this and that, where people are just open to anything right now. People are just open to anything right now. And it's become cool to be hated now. Not even cool. It's like we've transitioned to hating these nerds. And by we, I don't mean me, right? These nerds are the nerds for a reason. They didn't really understand day-to-day human interaction, but they really knew what they were doing behind that motherfucking computer, or behind that book, or behind that test. And you knew, like, hey, man, this person's a little awkward. I probably wouldn't invite them to a party. I probably won't do some drugs with them. But I know that person's probably going to be more successful than me. And that's a realization you have, where it's like, people with a different work ethic will always beat you. A better work ethic, let's say. And then these nerds start wilding out. Let's start with Meta. Now, like I said, every time you walk into a room, if you have a differing opinion, you'll get killed for it nowadays. I'm someone that did not like Facebook from a couple years back, because I was just like, they're really pushing this whole hatred thing, and it's become this place to kind of just make people angry. And I really do think they capitalize off of it. Now, ever since the whole, they're removing the, what is it called when they monitor? What is it? Oh, fuck, man. I don't want to freaking cut here, so I'm just going to keep on talking until I fill up the space. They removed modifying. Oh, my gosh. Now I have to cut. Anyways, They removed the whole monitoring what fact checking thing was happening. So they removed that aspect, and then they moved it over to community notes, where the people in the community would have to kind of add some type of validation. So if I say, hey, you know what, COVID masks are not required anymore, the community would then chime in. That's what it is now. Whereas before, people would rely on Facebook to take down stuff like that, take down fake news, take down fake articles. They would do this fact checking themselves. Now, this is what sucks. It's like I said, these dudes are nerds, and you listening, me right here, let's have a realization real quick. You and I will never be billionaires. You understand? We will never be billionaires. Ever. I do think we'll make it to 1 million. Maybe a couple million. Don't get me wrong, I got some debt right now. But I do think we'll make it to 1 million. 1 billion? You and I not making it there, my boy. I'm just telling you that now. And I do think that starts kind of messing up the compass. Where after you've made it to a certain point, you kind of just start letting things go where you want them to go. Now, like I said, I was not a big Facebook fan. But ever since this whole community of like, oh my gosh, we have to get rid of Facebook, we have to get rid of WhatsApp, we have to get rid of Instagram, has arrived at my front door, I've gone to the other side now. Where I'm just like, you know what? These apps aren't that bad. I get it. They're addicting to a certain point. And you know, like there's a lot of bad things happening. There's not a lot of, there's a lot of great things, right? You connect with people, you share stuff. It's a fun time. And we're not going back to MySpace. So there's a positive side. But these platforms have become so popular that they've overtaken things like the news. People don't go to CNN. People don't go to ABC, NBC for the news anymore. They go to Facebook. They go to some other meta platform. They go to previously what was called Twitter. And these new social media instruments were never meant to be the news. And so my argument to this whole community that's been like, oh, they're you know, like they're not going to moderate, that was the word. They're not going to moderate things that are being posted anymore. First of all, yes, they will. You can't just say a bunch of racist shit. I think, please don't fact check me on this. Don't post some racist shit. But you can't say a lot of hateful stuff, or you can't like just post a bunch of N-words, if you know what I'm saying. You could probably find some past ones on my profile, but don't go looking. They're still going to take stuff like that down. But when it's someone saying something, a deferring opinion, those things will now be left up. And my biggest quarrel is, why the fuck were you getting your news from Facebook in the first place? Second quarrel, why are you still on Facebook? Unless you're selling something, unless you're on Facebook Marketplace, or unless you're selling, doing some type of drug transaction, finding an ex from high school. Unless you're on Facebook to do that, why the fuck are you on Facebook? Instagram, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like it still has its way of getting your thumb there. Facebook was never meant to be the news. And then a lot of negative sentiment obviously came from him. Before I get to that point. What I've disagreed with the most is that this dude literally came out and said, hey, you know what? During the Biden administration, they would yell at us to take down certain things. That would be a deferring opinion than what the government wanted out there. For example, the example he used was COVID vaccines have side effects, which is true, right? It did have a number or two, probably not fatally, right? It probably still does a positive thing for you than not taking the vaccine, especially for people that are not healthy. But that's still messing with data. Don't get me wrong. That's still messing with factual things. And so people had no quarrel with it when it was that. But then he's seen as bending the knee to Trump. And that's when that's when everyone gets angry. Right? Where it's like, "Oh my gosh, Facebook is evil now. They're evil. They're bad people. This and that." And here's the thing. I really just think these dudes are nerds. This dude is just a nerd, bro. I really think that this fool wants to focus on some type of metaverse thing where people are living in a different reality and they're buying real estate in a virtual world. And he doesn't want to spend the next 4 years in a courtroom like he did during this last administration. I sometimes do think it's that simple. You can call me naive if you want. And I might be. You know, I've gotten pretty far being this naive. But that's where my head's at. I really don't think these nerds are trying to like kill you or trying to hurt you. They're really just trying to figure out how to meet a different species, how to transport dimensions, how to make Yu-Gi-Oh monsters come to life. They have an obligation. They have a responsibility that they never signed up for. I'm also not trying to give sentiment, right? Like something should be in place at this point when you become this big. And that's the downside, right? There's regulations on every fucking thing else. You want to get a house built in LA, you got all like a million regulations to go through. But in this world of tech, like I said, that engine is still old. What regulations need to be put in place? What needs to change? Then you get over to the other nerd. Oh my God, my man. My man threw up that motherfucking He threw up that Now, I try to defend this man here and there. I really do. Because if we're talking about it, this dude has been an industrial leader. I'm not going to say genius, but he's definitely made an impact on the way things are done in America. I don't think electric cars would be driving around as much as you see them now if it wasn't for this dude. I don't think we would have evolved this much in the space game if it wasn't for this dude. And there's a certain work ethic. There's a certain American work ethic that is admirable. Now, I get it. You might be hating this dude, but when the results legitimately do speak for themselves, a lot of y'all work at companies that don't really do anything. They don't really evolve. You take 40 hours to maybe do one thing. Where at one of those companies, you're finishing things by the hour. You're getting things done fast. You're moving at a particular rate. You can't be working from home. I know you fucking walking your dog, doing laundry and shit. And a lot of people like that lifestyle. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, you shouldn't. You should have good balance." Get out of here. When you're actually trying to make change, when you're actually trying to evolve, when you're actually trying to be better, when you're actually trying to break through what already stands, it takes a weird work ethic and it takes a weird engine that makes that shit possible. And I do think that man has done it. But boy, it's like, what are you doing, my boy? What are you doing, man? That motherfucker. People talking about, oh, he was saying he's throwing his heart out. Yo, he threw up that thing. He made everyone love Jewish people again. Maybe I might have to cut that out. But it's true. That shit was crazy, man. When I first saw the image, I really thought it was Photoshopped. And then, people throw up the whole side-by-sides of like when Obama did it and Hillary did it and other Democratic people done it. And then they say, oh, well, y'all weren't mad when they did it. And it's like, bro, you can't defend this, It's like having a friend and they do a lot of cool shit. You enjoy their company, this and that. And then they do something so outlandish that makes you kind of just shake your head. I had a friend a couple years ago. We're still friends. I won't say his name. We were going out one night. We were in Dallas. Everyone gets together. We're drinking. We're about to go out. And this friend of mine keeps asking the one black person at the party to freestyle. It's like that. Now, obviously, being a little bit racist isn't the equivalent of throwing up that motherfucking But it's like that thread where you do try to defend a little bit of it. And then it's like, God damn it, you know? And now my man is just wilding out. And what's wild is when you're giving this speech, you're thinking about this. For anyone that's giving a speech in front of an audience of people, you kind of know what you're about to do. Nothing you really say or do catches you off guard, especially when you have a script. So what I think about is like, my man was giving that speech the entire time, and he knew at the end, oh shit, all right, you know what? Oh shit, here it comes. Okay, so I'm going to hit my chest and then throw it. I'm going to, okay, here we go. And these people are going to fucking love it because I'm that goddamn good. I'm that powerful. I'm that, I'm just this goddamn high up in the sky. And then he does it. And even if you're a fan, you got to be like, what the fuck is he doing? What the fuck is he doing up there, man? And sometimes people just need a little reality check. I love how people are so negative about like, oh, I'll never drive his car. I'll never buy that stock. Forget that. People want us to get on his little spaceships and go to a different planet. Look, if you want to sell his stock, go ahead. Go ahead. Go buy, I don't know, some bullshit stock that you like. Go buy some Etsy stock. Can people chill the fuck out? People talking about, I'll never drive a fucking Tesla. Brother, don't worry about it. You over here on the bus. You on the bus talking about, I'll never drive a Tesla. Don't worry about it. I enjoy the Tesla. I drive one every day. I even pay for the FSD. That's right. The FSD is where it's at. People over here in their Nissan Sentra talking about, I'll never drive a Tesla. Do you understand how fast that car goes? And how cheap it is? You think your hybrid, you think your Prius is beating that in a race? Oh, the Cybertruck's so ugly. My boy, your car's AC does not work. And you talking shit. Don't worry about what I'm driving. This thing is driving itself. Can your car do that? Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a passenger in the Tesla, it's probably one of the worst experiences ever. You go flying around like there's a fucking ball in the back seat. I'm driving a Tesla. I'm not sleeping with the dude. Oh, well, you're giving him your money. Guess what? Someone's going to get this shit. And I bring all of this to this whole thing about we love to focus on this bullshit. Let's say you drive a Lexus. Do you know what the CEO's face even looks like? Do you know what he's up to? I guarantee you, his family probably did some shit, you know what I'm saying? But we don't focus on that because there's not a light on it. And now with all of this, anger and stuff during the Trump administration, that first first month that he's had now, there's a certain level of transparency that people keep. The goddamn memory card gave out. This thing's definitely slanted, but I just need to bring this to a close because my camera crashed out on me. Even the camera was tired of hearing my ass. All this to say, bro, people do pay a different level of attention when there's this much hatred involved. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Like everyone's talking about, this policy on illegal immigrants is crazy. And it's like, bro, this is always how it's been. Whether it's a blue president or red president, it's always been this bad. Pardoning a bunch of people that stormed the Capitol, that's a little bit wild, bro. And I did enjoy this about, like the 2020 term not 2020, the 2016 term, where people pay so much attention. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, where it's like, were the people ever supposed to be this informed? Especially with social media and the transparency that there is now, that you can learn anything happening in whatever body of government. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think the people were ever supposed to be this informed, because how does the machine run properly when everyone wants to have an input? At the same time, it does give you a certain level of transparency where it's like, what the fuck is this? California, small example, where when disasters happen, it's like, why is all this shit messed up? Why, I don't want to wait to find out that these things are bad. People pay a certain level of attention. And I don't like this whole world of like, oh my gosh, my January has been so bad. This is so stressful. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, bro, your big ass has been overweight. Don't blame Trump for that. You've been broke. You've always had a bad relationship with this or that. You've been single for a while. Don't blame all that shit on this. If your job changes and this and that, I understand, right? This is actually affecting your day to day. Or, oh my gosh, people are leading with so much hatred now. No, bro, it's fine. It's literally completely fine. Close your laptop. I guarantee you go outside. It's completely fine. I'm a 6-foot Indian dude. I get treated so nicely everywhere I go. People talking about, oh my gosh, the DEI stuff. These are companies that are keeping it, and this is where we should go. Bro, if you're Indian, what are you worried about? What are you worried about? We outperform every fucking buddy. We're literally the fucking best. What are you worried about? Ladies and gentlemen, my name has been Ajay Patel. And next week I have, two things. Oh shit, we have a whole mailbox thing. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save mailbox for next episode because my phone is now recording video. But I have my bachelor party next week, and I'm terrified because I don't remember the last time I partied. Like partied, you know what I'm saying? Like bottle service type partied. And it's always fun because it's like, as embarrassing as it probably is, like if you were to watch a playback and where you're just like drinking to goddamn perform, and now you're 30 and it's like, damn, bro, like do I really like doing this, or am I just trying to keep up the facade that I'm young and I still got it? But at the end of the day, it is still fun. At least just being with your dudes, being with your group of friends, and just getting out. So I am pretty excited for it. And honestly, it's been the sentiment from everyone where it's like, we just need a break. And people honestly don't hang out enough anymore. So that's a topic for another podcast. But I will try to get you guys some content nonetheless, maybe from the bachelor party. Maybe I bring a microphone or two. With that all being said, my main message, once again, is I understand I didn't do great on the SAT. But put a smile on your face, put a smile on someone else's face, and just have a good time. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Please drop a like on the YouTube video. If you still made it this far, I'll catch you guys next week, and goodbye.